And welcome back here to the Mabaleng Sports Grounds. We are in Westbury this morning, and thank you so much for participating in the conversation, and so many people raising issues around what's happening in this community, and also just talking about the fact that there is no visible policing in this area. In spite of what the authorities may say, that is not the lived reality of the community of Westbury. And I'm joined now by some members of the community and some members of the clergy here. And I did ask for some women to come through, because I think that in itself is a very important conversation, as one of the people on the X platform says that the mothers, the women in this community equally need to step up, because it is their sons, it is their children, their husbands, their boyfriends who are not only the victims but also the perpetrators of these heinous crimes in this area. So we'll get into those discussions a little later on. But for now, let me introduce our guests. We have to my extreme right, Pastor Mello du Plessis, and we also have next to him Pastor David van Rijn and Bishop Dalton Adams to my right. You met him yesterday as well. And of course, Simon Cotty is a Westbury activist. So these are the gentlemen that we're going to get into conversation with. And of course, right off the bat, let's just get straight into it. Bishop Adams, you spoke yesterday about the need for the community to come together in order to try and deal once again, because this has been going on for a long time, with the issues that are faced by the community of Westbury.
Exactly. Good morning, Sakina, and our viewers. What is important to know today? Today is a red letter day for Westbury. Today must herald in a new dawn for Westbury. Today cannot be another event. It cannot just be people coming and talking. The MMC was here, the Premier's office will be coming, and they come and they make speeches and they make promises. It can't be. It must be a plan, as I said yesterday, that we must start today. The first thing that I want to bring together, the first group of people, is a security cluster. You're talking about the SABC, you're talking about JMPD, you talk about all the Premier's office, all of them, the security cluster coming together to deal with two things specifically: visibility and also with stability in this community. Because you cannot begin to work a plan if there's still shootings happening around. Now, you and I spoke at length, and you spoke this morning about the circumference and the smallness of Westbury, and how it's very difficult even for the SAPS and JMPD to actually police this area. We want to actually debunk that myth that they can't do that. I think they don't, and you said it this morning, they don't have the political will to actually come in here and do it. And I said yesterday, they have enough resources to actually make sure that Westbury becomes stable and to change the trajectory of crime in this community. We cannot continue. We want to say today we start with a hashtag, So kan dit nie aangaan nie. And that's why here today, the community will be here in numbers today from 10 o'clock. You'll be able to interview them, and you'll see the need that there is for community to say we want a better Westbury, and that day starts today.
And Simon Cotty, you're an activist in this area. Talk to us, where does the problem lie? What is the root cause of the problem here? Because we've been speaking for many years about the problems of Westbury, but from your perspective, as a community activist, what is the problem?
Good morning to the viewers. Sakina, the problem, myself and the Bishop and Pastor Davi and Pastor Mello knows what the problem is. The problem is unemployment, and unemployment goes to crime. And I speak to a lot of young men, some of the shooters sometimes that I know, and they all say we will leave this thing if we can find jobs for ourselves. These young boys, they are paid to do these things. They don't do it because they want to do it. They are paid. Unemployment is very, very rife in the community, and that is one of the problems that we have. If we have employment for these young boys, we won't have this problem in the community again.
And that is, of course, one part of the problem. But I want to go to the fact that young men are literally mowing each other down on a daily basis on these streets. Mm-hmm. And you say they are paid to do this, but paid to kill each other?
Definitely. If you speak to them, Sakina, they'll tell you, we're getting paid. Where are we going to get money? We need money. That's why they do all these type of things.
And I was saying earlier to our viewers, there's this new phenomenon now, perhaps not so new anymore, of face-off, closed casket burials. It seems as though the viciousness of the attacks and just the gruesome nature of how people are killed is intensifying.
Yes, so true, Sakina. It's really sad. If you look at the pictures that people sometimes send on social media, it's really horrific to see. They come close up, and then if they shoot you, they come close up and they make sure they kill you, face, head, everywhere.
And this is known, but the other worrying issue here is that what we understand is that the shooters are getting younger and younger.
So true. They're getting younger and younger. But as I'm saying, this is not a gangster problem. It is a community problem. If the community can stand up, Sakina, this problem will stop. Gangsters, it's informal boys coming together. They don't even know each other. And then they belong to this group, they belong to that group. If the community, like myself, the bishop, and the pastors here, especially the clergy, if the clergy can come together and talk about this thing, I think this thing will stop. In 1999, there was a peace march. The pastors came together and the fighting stopped. I think this is another thing where the pastor should come and the bishop should rightfully take the lead in this thing, so this thing can stop, because we were all born in this area, and most of these young boys, they know us. They go to school. They even go to school. Some of the shooters, they're on their way to school now, as we speak. Yeah.
With guns.
With guns.
Pastor David van Ryn, that is scary, because you look at the situation in the schools, because the teachers themselves are scared, because they know that some of the pupils sitting in those desks, behind those desks, are armed.
Sakina, good morning to you and to your SABC viewers. That is the saddest part, that as a teacher that you are not able to teach someone that you know is involved with killings, murders, and that's heartbreaking, that any child should go to school with that intention, that this is my life, and of which it's a destructive life. There needs to be somehow a change of heart and mind within our youngsters, and together with Bishop and the GPR, we've started a program of a mentoring program to reach our young boys from the ages of 10 to 16 years, where we really changed that trajectory of youngsters desiring passionately to live for something different. So we marked it, we themed it, going against the grain. So there has to be young children, small boys, growing up from the age of 10 with a different heart, a different mindset, that I desire something different, and I'm going against the grain. I'm changing the narrative. I'm no longer part and parcel of this destructive cycle that has brought shame, hurt. I mean, it's been for generations, man, that before my time even.
And that is part of the problem,
Yes.
because this is a generational thing. So there are reprisal killings over
Absolutely.
generations. But when you say, and the name is quite apt, against the grain, so there will obviously be resistance. It's not that easy.
Definitely.
Even if these young people have the will to be part of something new and something different, it's difficult for them.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. I mean, we had young boy out of 75, 80 boys just in our area, because it's different areas, Nuclear, Westbury, Claremont, where one boy decided, no, he's going for his day job. 13-year-old boy that decided, no, what is your day job? Uber robbing. That is another thing that's plaguing not only this community, but every other community.
A 13-year-old.
13-year-old boy, and family was pursued. I mean, that is sickening in itself. That should not be a job for any 13-year-old boy, 15, 18-year-old boy.
If I can bring you in, Pastor Mello du Plessis, this speaks on another level to the moral degeneration of our societal fabric. Because what are we doing? Who are we raising when 13-year-olds say their day job is to rob Uber drivers?
Good morning to the viewers, and Sakina, thank you so much for this opportunity. I think you have it correct. I think we have actually missed and lost our values and our morals. When we grew up, it was, look, our seniors were not very educated, but one thing that they had was good principles, good values, good morals. And I can remember when we were raised, our parents used to hit us, and then every shot they give us would be, I am not raising you for myself, but for other people. So I think we have lost those values and those morals, because the problem that we have, or the challenges that we have, is that we said something that sounded good, but it's not good. We said that we want to give to our children what we did not have. And I always say this, that you cannot be raised with a silver spoon in your mouth and then you think that you'll have character. Character comes through the things that you go through. The things that we went through that build character. And this generation lacks character. And that's what they need. And so I totally agree with you. Moral degeneration is our greatest problem. We need to bring back those morals and those values. Simple things like just greeting one another in the morning. Just say hi.
It's easier said than done, though.
Yes, no, totally.
Because we are also not willing to face up to some of the real issues that confront us. Simon, you spoke about the unemployment crisis, but when we get back to the moral fabric of our society and how that is disintegrating, children having children, and then we expect children to raise children who have values when they have themselves not had the opportunity to be parented and to be taught all of that. We don't frown upon the fact that 10-year-olds are having children. We see 13-year-olds walking around pregnant, and we have baby showers, and we celebrate that. What's wrong with us?
Yeah, totally. And you're touching on another issue, regarding the fact that it's children that's raising children. Most of the parents that experience today have dropped out of school because of the fact that they were pregnant. So they themselves need parenting skills. And so now what we do, Sukena, this is, I always say, what we do as parents, we always push our children away. Go play, go away, go outside. And so because we ourselves do not know how to parent them. Because when we fell pregnant, at that time, we were children ourselves. And that is the greatest problem, because we push them away. So we push them away until the age of 16, 17, and now we want them back, but it's too late, because now they have become gangsters. They're on the street, and they want to be on the street because on the street is warmer than at home. They get the acceptance, the love on the street, and at home they're being rejected. And rejection is one of the greatest challenges that we have.
But home there's a place where they retreat to at the end of the day, which is home, wherever that may be. And we touched on this yesterday, and I want to push it a bit further, Bishop Adams. When we talk about 13-year-olds who are going home or going to school armed, who have guns, where do they keep those guns? When you have your child bringing stuff into your home that you know you didn't buy, where you know this child doesn't have the capacity to acquire legally, how do we deal with those situations when there's poverty that is rife, when there's no food in the home, and suddenly the 12-year-old brings bags of groceries into the home? How do we deal with that?
You
You see, Sina, there's a saying that goes like this in Afrikaans. Ons moet die plek klein maak vir hulle. What it means is that if the community does not stand up, and I am a strong propagator, that the answer does not necessarily lie with government or with the security cluster or lie with any people who... Help is not going to come from outside unless we as a community do not stand. And the pamphlet that you had, Sakina, says we stand up against everything that you mentioned. I am solution driven. I want to see this community change, the face of this community change. I want to see Westbury being a smart city, and it looks impossible, but it can be done. So what we must do is today, we need to awaken the people in this community to say, "Julle kan nie net so aangaan nie. You can't let things just be normal. We got to be angry with what is happening. We got to say to ourselves, it must stop. And we can stop it.
But people,
and we will stop it."
they have been angry, but they also are paralyzed by fear. You know, I was reading a message that came through on our X feed this morning from someone, Grant Carlse. And he says, "You, as the SABC, are explicitly endangering the lives of people in Westbury by focusing on this." And the march was stated yesterday as going to be targeted by actors. So, how do you respond to that?
We're not afraid of that. You see, we must stop being afraid of people who will bring out messages like that. And it is the fear that has gripped this community. And the Bible says explicitly, Sakina, God has not given us a spirit of fear. In any generation, people must put up their hands like Nelson Mandela did, like Martin Luther King did. So if you're not prepared to put up your hand, go home and sit there. But we are here today to say we are putting up our hand to bring the change in this community. Whoever wants to come must come, because God knows our purpose in this life. But Westbury must change. Westbury today, as I'm here on the 4th of August, Sakina, I spoke to you yesterday. I called this march, and I called it march to get the people because people like to march. But it's not necessarily a march. It's speaking to the community to say, how do we get together to change this community? And let me tell you, there is plan. There's enough talent and gifts in this community that can turn this community around. I'm a positive person. I believe it can happen, Sakina.
Simon, Carol Ann Botha says only Westbury residents can save Westbury. Mob justice is the only thing that can work. Now, obviously, we cannot advocate for mob justice because the rule of law has to prevail. But this again speaks to the desperation that some people are feeling.
Sakina, it's so true. A lot of people, when you speak to them, especially myself, when I walk around the area as an activist and as a radio presenter, if someone gets shot, they'll call me, they'll say, "Simon, we have to do something. Ons moet een of twee uitbrand." That is what the people are thinking about. But then I say to them, guys, that is not going to solve the problem. The problem is not going to be solved by taking two youth to an open field, pour petrol on them, put tires on them. That's not the solution. The only solution is we, as the community, like the bishop says, this is a community problem. We have to stand up. My child belongs to this gang. Your child belongs to that gang. We even have brothers in one house that belongs to two different gangs. And they sleep together at night. That is how serious the problem is, Sakina.
So we're running out of time to the top of the hour, but if I can quickly bring the two pastors in at the end, where does the solution lie? What needs to happen in the immediate term? What are the short and the easy gains that can be had in Westbury?
The short and easy gains is us taking responsibility, period. Being accountable as a people, as a community, and not backing down. Because it's a collective, it's not a once-off quick fix. No. This is a collective with government, social development, and every other party that, and when I say party, it's not just a political party. It's every individual coming together collectively, and let's cultivate the skills. Because our kids are lacking skills.
Okay,
If we can
I'm going to
have
come
skill
back to
centers,
that because
etc.
there has to be an alternative. But
Should
can I
be.
quickly hear Bishop, Pastor Mello on this?
I'm so happy that you're asking me this one. Whenever something doesn't work, say any product, where do we take it? Back to the manufacturer. And that is the short of this whole thing. We as a community has to come back to the Father.
All right. I tell you what, we're continuing this conversation with members of the community here in Westbury. Many problems, complex problems. There needs to be alternatives as we tackle these problems, and where might those come from? With that, it's back to Studio Leanne up with the news at 8.